I want to open it up to questions. I think we have microphones out there, maybe. Do we not? We do. We have microphones there and there. Over. Oh yeah, there they are on the other side. So make your way to the microphone, and in the meantime, yeah, people are like waving at me. Microphones, go there, and we'll go from there. Do you really? I mean, while we're waiting for the microphone, Connie, do you really think Facebook is going to go public in 2010? I think it's a long shot, like a big long shot.
I think Steve has an opinion.
I do.
You do?
I think, yeah. No, I think they'll go public. I think the acquisition capital that you can get with a public offering is significant, and I think the retention of talent. I mean, when attracting talent. When Google went public and that stock price started to rise, they were able to bring in some great people for years, and they still are. And with a kind of private valuation, probably a discounted valuation on these private exchanges, Facebook can't show that appreciation and value, and it hurts who you can bring into the company.
Okay.
Hey Jim, I'm just looking for three things.
Oh, did you have something to add?
No, just why I wish for a Facebook IPO. I have not seen a Ferrari totaled in 8 years. I have not seen a big concert in somebody's.
You're hearkening back to like Eagle
Yeah,
Computer.
come
That's
on,
like
man.
20 years ago.
No, 8 years ago. What are you talking about?
Eagle?
No,
The Ferrari?
No,
Las Gatas? It's a long time. Anyway, go ahead.
But those kind of things, those are great stories. We don't get to write anymore because there's no IPOs, no new young millionaires who are stupid to do stupid things. We need that. Like the Valley needs it badly.
And if Zuckerberg, gets married and his wife wants to play with his golf clubs, we'll know what's up there. Okay. Yes, microphone over here.
I have a two-part question for Brad, and I guess since you guys talked about this earlier. In the news recently, it said that media companies are doing backroom deals, particularly Rupert Murdoch doing backroom deals with Microsoft to try and get the stories not to run on Google. Also, media companies are talking to the FTC about trying to put in fines for online content, like you just mentioned. And other newspaper companies are saying that they are going to limit the amount of free content that you can get down to 5 headlines per day. So I'm curious, what do you think this is going to have an effect on newspapers? Is this like the last ditch to try and make some money? Is it going to help foster online publications like GigaOM or VentureBeat? What do you think the result is going to be? I mean, the media industry is in so much trouble right now.
Well, you mentioned a couple of different things there. As for News Corp's discussions with Microsoft, I mean, I think a lot of people scratch their heads. It's not, it's not clear what value Microsoft, how much Microsoft would pay for that privilege, and it's certainly clear that News Corp publications would lose a lot of visibility by yanking their material off Google's index. But today we saw the news that Google made a change to its search results so that news stories can only be surfaced for free 5 times and then in a day, and then the user's routed to a registration page. And it's a commendation to newspapers who were worried that people were accessing all their content via Google and not registering and giving up a little bit of their identity and seeing contextual ads, and in some cases paying for the content. And so I think the newspaper industry has aired some of its concerns, and we're seeing a little bit of a commendation. As to whether it helps an industry clearly in transition, I think is another question that I don't have the answer to.
I had just something to add. I don't know if anyone's really done the back of the envelope math on how much it would cost for Microsoft to actually do that, right? I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be $100 million to actually convince the New York Times, Dow Jones, another $100 million. If you make those 2 purchases and get huge amount of publicity as a result of that, because it's going to be covered everywhere, right? by you guys.
Does it move the needle enough to?
Yeah,
Make
but you won't be able to
because
access it on
people
Google.
who are searching
so
for
you
something,
wouldn't
they're
learn
going to.
about it.
Well, yeah, people will know about it, and then they're going to search Google, Microsoft or Bing as a second possibility. I mean, it would be a wild wager, but it could be done.
So just like one point nobody's noticing about this whole argument is that people are not buying the product. It doesn't matter where they deliver it, whether it's online or offline. People don't seem to care much for the newspaper content which is being put out, except for certain portions of it. So I think that's a bigger challenge, and I think the industry at large has not come to grips with the reality of the business. What people want, what the end consumers want, and what end consumers are going to pay for. You know, they're trying to charge for something which people have gotten for free for a very long time, and now you're saying, oh, well, you have to pay for it, then consumers are going to say goodbye, because it's not like there is a town where there is only 2 papers. There's like a lot of papers. You can get same information somewhere. You know what, somewhere down the line, Matt and I and Arrington, and we'll figure out a way to keep doing this at even lower cost. We will, because that's our only business. We don't have a printing press, and we don't have a fancy building, and we don't have 20,000
Yeah,
employees.
but you're not a professional journalist. I mean, that you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. No, I get a paper. You're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%.
What
There
kind
is
of
two.
a delusional statement is that? I am
Thank you very
sitting
much for
on
all
this
you coming.
table
No, let me make a point.
What are you
I agree
talking
with
about?
you. There is too much paid content. That's the problem. People are used to too much paid content. There's an apocryphal story about.
No, you just said I am not a professional journalist.
He's
I'm
getting
not a
he's getting
professional
paid
journalist.
his salary to actually write. Last time I checked, right?
Right. I pay people who are professional journalists who went to J school.
Okay, you're not
to
a
write.
legacy professional journalist that is paid to approach things in a certain way to go
Oh,
after
really?
stories.
Why can't we just get
Okay,
along?
sorry, that's not the point.
Let's address. Yeah,
The
let's address
point,
what
the
he
point
said.
is, there's an apocryphal story about Sports Illustrated breaking I think it was the Barry Bonds story, right? They broke the story. They were going to run it in the print edition, but they ran it online 6 hours early. Huffington Post grabs it, and Huffington Post gets credit for the story. That's the problem. If we don't solve this problem, we won't have professional journalists. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cast aspersions, but I'm using it in the broad sense. Where will the content come from? Who will generate it? Just bloggers on their narrow little interest? That's the problem. We have to figure that out. We have to pay for the fourth estate that has been a key part of our
the thing
society.
Is the fourth estate has changed.
It is changing.
It is changed.
It's
Why don't
completely
you
eroding. The
understand
business
that?
model is,
Just to
I understand
say
it.
what
The
you
business
just said,
model is eroding. I agree with you.
Just what you said is so out of.
Okay, it's about the audience, okay?
We're going to move on. Next
Okay,
question.
how you doing? Jerry Corbett with Red Flag. 2012, where are they? IBM, Cisco, HP, Dell, Oracle, Microsoft. Thank you.
Who wants that one?
I didn't hear the question.
Where are they in 2012? IBM, HP, Dell, Microsoft, Oracle, and then there was apparently some groundswell for Cisco as well. Anyone want to tackle that?
I'll consult my Mayan calendar.
All here.
They're all
not
here?
going anywhere.
And they're all fine?
Look how long it's taken Sun to kind of wither away, you know?
Well, Sun is now apparently a huge competitive threat all of a sudden, if you believe the EU.
Oh,
So,
the Europeans know everything, man. No, because these are big companies. They're not going to go away. They always have a way to figure out how to get.
well, look at the year that IBM is having. I mean, this is a company that some people thought was too stodgy to evolve. Here's a company that discovered services. Here's a company that has adapted probably better than any other. This is a phenomenal company, a phenomenal technology that these guys are doing, still innovating, still generating patents. To me, that's, I don't know where you went.
I
but-
wanted to say that all the companies that you mentioned are the big acquirers. They're the
Yeah,
people
I mean,
that are going
all
out and
of
doing
these
the
guys
buying.
are on healthy, acquisitive trails. I don't think that any of those companies that you mentioned are in any shape of risk. Did you say Dell in there? I couldn't remember. You said Dell? Dell's a different story. I would say of all those companies, if Dell can make the PRSA Systems acquisition work, and they become a leader in healthcare IT, that to me is a huge trend over the next 3 to 5 years. If they can make that work, they have no track record at all of making anything work. Dell's got massive issues. If they can figure this thing out, great. You know, that's. But of all the companies you mentioned, I think that would be the one that I would have the most concern about. The other ones, I think they're all positioned exceptionally.
Dell has 2 big strategies that I just got briefed on. They have 10,000 people here and 10,000 people here. This group is focusing on education and state government. This group is focusing on small business. They're trying to integrate their products.
Yeah. And you know, we didn't even get into
that was Dell? Was that
to government? We didn't even get into government spending and where that's going to go over the next 2, 4, 6 years, which I think is also a major.
I wouldn't write them off, is the point.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, market opportunities versus execution, I think, are 2 very different things, and Dell has to prove some way, shape, or form that they can execute on all these grand plans that they've got. I'm just looking at track record, and I know that history is no portent of what comes next, but they've got some problems, I think. Yes, sir.
I'm actually a little bit afraid now to ask this question, but I'll ask it kind of in 2 parts. In one, Ohm, you've got to promise me you at least swear at me because I won't feel like I've made it tonight. But when it comes to, I'm very interested in mobile entertainment, whether it's video, audio, movies, whatever. A lot of it's free, whether it's Pandora, Slacker, whomever. Do you see any company in 2010 figuring out how to monetize this correctly? Or do you see it still kind of in a trial basis? And how does Android play into all of this as well?
I don't know about the Android part in this, but definitely you already see Pandora is making a lot of money by offering subscriptions. You know, Mog is another company which started offering music through subscriptions. So eventually they'll offer it on, I guess, on the mobiles as well. You know, Spotify is another company in Europe which is beginning to make money by charging subscriptions. And there will be, you know, subscription models right there, you know, but I think the pricing has to be very rational, and, you know, they can't really overcharge. Like, I like how Mog says only $60 a year and you can get unlimited music to listen to, which is what you really want to do. You don't really want to download it. So I think there will be a lot of experimentation. I think from that aspect, you will see a lot more paid content actually take off. You're already beginning to see Netflix's model take, you know, big, you know, it's becoming very powerful. iTunes is selling a lot of content right now, and people are renting videos from. So I think that entertainment part of the industry might actually be able to figure out a business model soon. I think what will happen is all the industries, including media, the news media, will have to come to terms with the reality that they are a much smaller industry. They're not the old industries, right? They're not the 20th century industries. They have a new business reality, and they have to shrink to kind of live to that, you know, live within their means. And I think that's going to start to happen in 2010.
We've probably got time for just a couple more questions. Let's go to this mic over here.
Thanks. Outside of Round Rock and White Plains, you guys haven't gone much north of Palo Alto or much south of Morgan Hill. China seems to have a lot of money. They kind of own us. India seems to have a lot of people and could potentially have a large effect on the global economy. What role do you think they play in all of this, or are we still navel-gazing a la 1985 within our own little region here?
Let's not all jump to the mics at once.
I predict China will still be around. And
what's that?
China will still be around, and you know, it's a huge role. There's, you know, a lot going on there in terms of picking up more of the design stuff there. I also think that, as apropos of the last question, I spent an evening, a couple hours in a hotel room in China in September using Google's new music service, legally downloading songs, which you can follow in the letter of the spirit of their service there, which I think really is close to the future of music there. So I think that in terms of this entertainment as well as the hardware, we're going to see things come out of there because they're starting from the other direction of us. In the U.S., we're starting from a lockdown direction trying to pry things there. And in China, everyone steals everything. So they're saying, well, maybe we give the stuff away, we can kind of bring them into the legal camp there. So I think that's an interesting area of innovation that we'll see from China.
Actually, if you look at company, yes, 2 days ago, there was New York Times ran a story about a company called Huawei, which makes telecom equipment and is the second largest telecom maker in the world now. So which is kind of a good sign as to what will come next, right? There is another company called ZTE, which is also beginning to gain traction in telecom and wireless equipment. So there is a lot of these big companies being formed because one of the big things about US in the 1980s and 1990s and the later half, like towards the end of the 20th century, was that we had a big end consumer market, which we spent a lot of money buying computers and SAP and Oracle and those kind of products. Now we have the exact similar situation in China and India and Brazil and Russia, where they are actually beginning to consume technologies in a big way, but they have very different requirements. So from those requirements are going to come one or two big companies. So Huawei is made for third world telecom requirements. They were made to sell cheap equipment to carriers who were selling at $5 a month unlimited calling plan. Like that was the genesis of that company, was cheap equipment. You can debate how they got there, whether they stole the IP or whatever the reasons might be. They actually got there. So I think the consumption markets are on the other side of the planet now and not here. So we do definitely have to watch what China and Russia and India and Brazil are going to do over the next 5 to 10 years.
Time for just one more question. We'll go back to this microphone. And yes, you're the last one.
Hi there. We've talked about Amazon. We've talked about online banking. I'd love to hear your thoughts about eBay and PayPal for 2010.
Brad?
Well, I mean, eBay, the marketplace's business is still it's still a turnaround question. I think 2010 is going to be an evaluation year for eBay.com. Have they managed to start growing again and stemming essentially the threat from Amazon? PayPal is the much stronger piece of that business, and I think there are possibilities to see a spin out. If anyone is going to control this kind of next generation of online payments, the opportunity of mobile payments, I mean, there are a lot of startups looking at that opportunity, but PayPal is in a very good position to do it. And you can just tell from the messaging of the company that they're putting a lot of energy behind PayPal.
PayPal Developers Forum recently, huge Black Friday, big Cyber Monday. PayPal is probably eBay's secret weapon against Amazon. If there's going to be any competitive threat from eBay against the Amazon juggernaut, it's that PayPal component. And I agree with Brad. I don't know if they can spin it out, if they want to sell off the crown jewel or keep 51% and spin out 49% or realize some return on the investment. But I would imagine that eBay's investors will have something to say about that, especially if this kind of momentum continues, because it is extraordinary what they're doing with PayPal over there. That Scott Thompson, the CEO or the president of that unit, is doing great work. So Scott's brother is in the crowd. That's kind of exciting.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you should all give yourselves a round of applause. You survived 2009. And more importantly, you survived tonight. So thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it, and have a safe drive home.